Now, Fara, you retired from the game 4 years ago. Are you missing football?
A little bit. I think when you've done it for so many years, of course you have that little bit that, you know, you wish you could do it forever. But I've quite enjoyed being the other side of the pitch and observing and talking about it and giving my opinion on the game.
You look back on your career and then obviously your pundit career now. What's the difference, and do you reflect on how women's football's changed as well?
I think I'm the same. I think when I was a player, I was somebody that was quite outspoken, problem solver, kind of looking and understanding, liked by some, disliked by others. And it's the same in punditry. I'm not afraid to give an opinion about a game that is opinionated for all of us and we all see differently. So that part of it really excites me, having debates and, you know, hearing different opinions and why they see the game the way that they do. But the women's game, you're right, has definitely moved on, even in the 4 years that I've been retired, massively. Maybe a little bit too fast. It needs to maybe just steady out a little bit. But yeah, in a great position.
What do you mean by too fast exactly?
Lots of different things. I think winning the Euros accelerated maybe the game a little bit in terms of broadcasting and brand deals and stuff like that. And maybe that's why the gap has become even bigger in the WSL. Some teams are struggling to kind of keep up with what's needed at the very top. There's small things that women need that is different to men that, you know, some teams are doing and some aren't. The whole sports science around it is still modelled on the men's game. So there's changes that need to be had. The well-being of players as well. You know, more games in a short period of time, and the women's game's only been professional for a small time. So yeah, maybe kind of slowing that down, getting better understanding of the women's body and how it works, and then we can take back off.
In broadcasting, do you have any role models or any great tips you've been given?
I like people that have opinions. So the pundits that I like listening to the most are ones that have an opinion, ones that talk more football. I like to kind of hear and see what they're seeing in the game. But I've really enjoyed watching and learning off Rio Ferdinand. I've been lucky enough that I'm alongside, you know, part of his agency where they represent me. So when I first went into punditry and TNT, so BT at the time gave me an opportunity to do a Champions League game, Liverpool into Milan, and I was sat alongside Rio, and just that whole experience of, you know, I think it was one of my first men's games that I did, and the way that, you know, how comfortable he made me feel in that environment. He's somebody that I've kind of looked up to and lent on a little bit for insights and how he's dealt with it for, you know, the 10 years that he's been at, you know, BT and TNT. So he's been very good and helpful to me. But I think everybody I've sat alongside, male or female, have always helped me. Dion Dublin, he wasn't somebody that, say for example, I looked at, but working with him and, you know, how good he is, very good mentor, eases you in, you know, gets you to see which camera to look at and stuff like that. But I haven't had a bad experience with anybody I've worked with, luckily, and it's been really enjoyable.
So there's more women's matches broadcast now on TV. There's been a lot of progress made there. Are there challenges for women being part of the industry?
Some would say there is. It depends how you look at it, I think. For me, I think it's great that females are in a position now where there's broadcasters that want to show our game, and we should want to talk on our game first and foremost. I think doing the men is a bonus. I think if you get the opportunity to do that, the experiences are very different in the men's game and the women's, and I believe that our knowledge is best suited for the women's game because we have those experiences of playing in it. But I also think, you know, having an opinion of a female on the men's game is also okay, because as I mentioned, football is about opinions, and you know, nobody's right. So I actually quite enjoy that part of it. But yeah, it's a lot more difficult to if that's what you want in media, is to be a female in the men's game, of course that's more difficult. But I am happy in the role that I do, talking about women's game and trying to really drive that. And then when I do get opportunities to be involved with the men's stuff, I pinch myself, because it is one of those that you've sat and watched TV and listened to role models and idols and players that you aspire to be like, and then all of a sudden you get opportunities to sit next to them. So they're real pinch me moments and that I wouldn't take for granted. But I love doing the women's game.
So looking ahead to this summer then, the Euros, what do you think of the Lionesses? How are they going to fare?
I've always said the Euros is always the difficult one to win. I think the World Cup sounds a bit silly, a little bit easier, but we're now the best in Europe playing together, fighting for one trophy. I think
the quality.
It's a lot hard. Yeah.
Each team in Europe is really good. The quality is really high.
Yeah, the gap's closed. The gap's closed. And that's what makes it more difficult for us to predict. Mystic Meg is no longer Mystic Meg. It's much more difficult now.
Well, fingers crossed.
Thank you so much again, Farah, for joining us. I loved our chat. What are your plans for this summer then?
A little rest. We've got I think 3 weeks. When does it kick off? The Euros kicks off in July 3rd, I think is my first game. And then I'll be doing some Euro games for BBC and then my podcast. So yeah, I've got my podcast where I'll be giving my opinion with no boundaries throughout the Euros.
Thank you, Farah. It's been wonderful having you back on the show.